YouTube app.
Sound on.
You'll just have to search
Hang
the.
on,
Turn your volume all the
on.
way down too.
And just so you know, it wasn't my job, Ryan. I wasn't even in here.
Are you live? Did you go
we're
live? You usually warn us or something.
I just said sound on 5 times.
All right. Well, we are back. Let's see. I was back last week.
Hey, I got it pulled up too.
We're live,
I got to
Ryan.
get my windows tinted.
So Jeff just decided to go live, and nobody was ready yet. But
I'm ready.
I said sound on 5 times.
I heard it. I can't
Tyler-
see you for the trophy.
Tyler's helping. Yeah, the trophy's blocking.
I got to get the windows tinted.
Have you?
It stays light.
You got your
Longer
mic pulled
now.
over, Brian?
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Perfect. We've got special guest Luke Clawson in the house. Tyler's trying to get him set up.
You spoiled it.
Spoiled what?
You spoiled it earlier on social media, and you just spoiled it again.
Oh, I didn't know it was a secret.
Wait,
I've got to move the trophy. I can't see you. I got to be able to look at you. Make eye contact.
are you serious?
Yeah, we're gonna slide it.
Well, you put it there.
There we go. Now I can see you and tell if you're making faces at me.
Oh, my wife just texted me and said, "What's wrong?" I hope nothing's wrong.
I might have blocked that camera from looking at me.
Okay, everybody can hear us just fine.
That camera's
Luke,
looking
pull
at
your
Luke.
pull
so
your
we're good.
mic into your mouth. There you
Is
go.
that better?
Yeah, right there.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay, and we are
You
live.
guys got
just
me?
So y'all
We're
know.
live?
We're already live.
I'm going to change my language, huh?
Filters on. All right, so we obviously we're back in studio with a little bit a nice addition to the table here. I had to remind Brian 72 times, but he did bring the trophy.
I didn't forget it. So
Yeah.
when I won the cup, my wife graciously brought the cup, Forest Wood Cup,
He
to the
forgot
show.
it.
I
He comes
forgot
to the
it.
podcast
I
to do it
forgot
and forgets the cup. But at least your cup didn't have a. So this reminded me earlier. The Redcrest trophy was in the back of Brian's Suburban out here, and you told Tyler that if he wanted to grab it, he could carry it in. Did he end up getting and carrying it in?
No, he wouldn't.
Okay, you got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Here's why. Brad Knight, when he won the Forest Wood Cup, he had it. They were at an expo or working an event, and they had the cup out there on display. And this dude walked up, and he'd been drinking like a lot. Yeah. So first thing he's thinking is he grabs the cup, right, and he's like, yeah, he drops it.
Oh, did he really?
Oh yeah, dropped it, and I can't remember what it. He damaged it pretty bad, and Brad came back. Brad was pretty hot about it. Which
Yeah.
I don't blame Brad. But
Yeah, I would've
all I
been
could
the
think
same way.
about was when Tyler was going to go out there and pick that up. Is he's going
drop
to
it.
drop it on the way in here and break the top. That's pretty durable stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, that might have gone right there, but the rest of it, that's pretty good. Yeah, we're good. But anyway, so we got a lot to talk about, obviously, and thanks to Brian and our special guest, which he already announced, we have. I gave him a hint earlier on Instagram on my story, and I said,
I just throwed it out there.
yeah, I know, and that's what he does. He ruins things.
You didn't tell me it was a secret.
Well, did you not watch? You don't watch my story on Instagram, so you wouldn't have known. I was trying to tease people a little bit.
Oh.
I said he was a Forest Wood Cup champion,
Yes.
and a Bassmaster Classic champion. Special surprise guest in the studio tonight. Next thing you see is on Brian's story. Hey, my buddy Luke Clawson over here is going to be on the show
His
tonight.
name was on the show title.
Could have been a jar of pickles.
It could have
Yeah,
been.
that has one more
Clawson
S.
Pickles. That's spelled with a K, is it not?
No, it's a C, just one more S.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that would have got me. All right, let's dive right into it. We got about 160 viewers right now, so we'll try to get
Yeah,
to
how
y'all's
much-
questions the best we can. We're going to
Mine's
jump
not
over.
saying the number of viewers.
You know when you talk, people can hear you, right?
Yes.
Mine says it right next to the live chat. I don't know. Or wait, that's messages maybe. 169?
Mine's sideways
that's
again.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
about 170. Still counting. What? You think a man that just won 300K could get him a good phone?
Oh, he's never had a good phone.
Hey, this is an
Is that-
iPhone 8, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem. What you got over there, Luke? That's,
It's a 12 mini, so it's little.
it's a mini.
So I
He got
can
a
keep it
little-
in my pocket.
See, I got an 8 Plus.
In his 8 Plus, sounds like he's chewing on marbles all the time. With that case, you can't
It's
understand anything
twice the
he's
size
saying.
of Luke's, but
Oh, yeah.
half as good as Luke's.
Right.
So, all right. We got to let Brian talk a little bit about, obviously, this and kind of how it went down. If you didn't get to catch the live coverage, I thought right when they announced that it was going to go to 5 fish, and he wouldn't admit it, but I was like, Thrift's got to – this is going to play in his hands a little bit better than every fish counts just because it's a pre-spawn deal and you
But
have
it
a lot of-
wasn't pre-spawn.
Okay, all them deep fish and them big largemouth you caught, you think were all post-spawn fish?
No, I mean they were
So-
pre-spawn, but a lot of guys like there were more spawning fish than I'd hoped for.
Well, I think you hope for the exact right amount of spawning fish the way it worked out. I mean,
Everything worked out perfectly.
Okay, so if anybody doesn't know, Luke travels and rooms with Brian, right? Lord help you. But he, even after he just won a $300,000 derby, he's still like, well, it still wasn't good like the way I thought like it should have been. I mean, is he like that after every?
No,
Yeah, and
that's
before
not
every
what I
event,
just
you've
said.
talked to him during practice for an event.
No, I don't talk to him during practice before events on purpose.
All you hear is, I'm going to suck. I'm not going to catch anything. You know, but we all know better by now.
You ought to be Jordan Lee's biggest customer.
This lake sucks.
This lake sucks.
Man, he's a genius. Like,
Yeah.
I do want a hat. I'm gonna have to get a hold of Jordan and get me a hat or a hoodie or something.
Yeah, he probably loan you one.
No, it wasn't. It's not that my practice wasn't that good. It just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. If that makes sense.
Our practices are never as good as we want them to
Exactly.
be.
That's why I'm never
Because-
happy with it.
Well, we've talked about this, and a good professional angler doesn't need to go out and crack a bunch of bass in practice. You never do that.
No, I don't
sure
wanna,
Luke doesn't
I don't
ever do
wanna
that.
crack them, but I want to know where they live so I can.
Well, that's what the 17 graphs on your boat are for. So,
Reality is, you have a really good practice. That's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
Because you
It
get
really is.
locked into that, and you're screwed from the get-go. Because if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen, you're kind of just stuck with it.
Yes, that is very true.
and you need, and Pollock did an article with Bass the other day about classic practice, because it's even trickier, right? Because it's 3 days, and then you have
Yeah,
4 or 5 days, and then
Yeah.
the tournament starts. So
Is that the way the classic was when you won it? You practice a couple days and then you're off the water for
The
a
way
couple.
I remember it, that was a long time ago. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I think we practiced for 2 days. We had a day off, and then there was a day right before the classic.
yeah, that's
Is
right.
that the same as it is
Well,
now?
it's so Wednesday is the official practice day now, and then Thursday's media day. Then the tournament starts Friday, so it might be one day different than what it used to be. Basically the same thing, though. The 3-day pre-practice period, which is like then you have a couple days in
Yeah.
between, yada yada yada. So very similar, but it's Pauline was talking about how you just need ideas. You just need to figure out exactly what stage fish are in and where they're headed to, and just
Right.
figuring out how to stay
that's
ahead
what
of
I
it.
tried to do at Norman in practice. So we had 2 days of practice before the event, and the first day I devoted to fishing history, checking stuff that I thought a group of fish would be on, something that would get me a 10 to 12 pound limit. And then the second day of practice, I wanted to look at the lake from a open mind, like I'd never been there before, practice like I'd never seen the lake, and try to find an actual pattern that was happening in the moment. And that's when I figured out that swim bait bite on the docks. So that was my game plan for practice.
Ryan Sowers wants to know if you bought anything for Allison yet with the 300K.
Yeah, I took Allie and the boys. We went and ate sushi yesterday.
Oh
for
my
lunch.
God!
At least it wasn't Taco Bell.
Yeah, well, I got back home. I had to do some TV interviews, TV stuff in Charlotte yesterday morning. So I got home at like 12, and I called her and said, "I'm going to hook the boat and let's go grab some lunch." So of course, Wiley, his favorite is sushi. He's like, "Can we go eat sushi?" I said, "Of course, we can go eat sushi."
You ain't gonna say no to sushi.
Yeah, I'm not going to say no to that. I do have to say no to him occasionally because he eats a lot of sushi, and it's like every time we go eat sushi, it's like $80 to $100, and he wants to eat it 4 days a week.
You poor man. They're just
yeah.
burning. They're just burning you holes in your pockets, aren't they? Real quick, I got to do a couple of announcements. One thing is the Shining Hope Farms charity tournament that Jason Land puts on is on May 6th on Lake Norman for a good cause. It'll be May 6th, and it's a guaranteed payout of $10,000 first place. We'll announce some more details of that tournament closer to time, sometime in April when we do a show.
Yeah.
But any local charity tournaments that go for a good cause, we always try to announce on this show. Keep that one in mind, though, May 6th on Lake Norman 2023, Shining Hope Farms Memorial Tournament. Again, y'all know this show is presented by Angler's Choice Marine. If y'all don't know who Angler's Choice Marine is by now, then you haven't been paying attention to the boat industry, because #1 Ranger and Triton dealer in the U.S. last year. 3 locations, Martinsville, Virginia, Lexington, North Carolina, Spindale, North Carolina, and the new ACM tackle store. So that's what the next announcement was. We got some pretty awesome giveaways tonight. Actually,
We got some really good giveaways tonight.
so Luke and Brian share a mutual sponsor with Blackfish Gear. They're giving out a $50 gift card.
Yep.
They're also, Brian's sponsor, Demiki, is giving out a $50 gift card. That will be one trivia giveaway. I've divided this into 2 so we can have 2 winners so we don't get no complainers tonight.
Ooh, that's good.
So the first winner will get $100 in giveaways. The second winner will receive the heavy-duty weigh bag from Angus Choice Marine, an Angus Choice Marine hat, and a $100 gift card to acmtackle.com that's got all the really, really, really
Yeah,
cool
they do
stuff.
have some good stuff.
Yeah,
they got
like-
some good JDM stuff.
Yep, a lot of really nice secret colors and glide baits and swim baits and
Oh,
jerk
I
baits
forgot
and
about
all
that. They do have a nice glide bait selection.
Oh, I got a picture of it on my phone. I'll have
Yes.
to post it up here this week. So anyway, we got 2 questions tonight, 2 winners, and some awesome giveaways. That'll be at the end of the show.
The Red Crest special giveaway.
That's right, the Red Crest. Yep, that's right. Oh, I called Trent at Anglers Choice, and he's like, well, "We got to do something a little bigger today. We got to celebrate a little bit." And so he said, "How about let's do a $100 gift card?" I said, "Great." Then you called. He's like, "You said we're going to do a $50 Blackfish gift card." I said, "Okay, cool." And then you called back and said, "We're going to do a $50 Demiki gift card." And I said, "All right, we're going to have 2 winners tonight instead of 1."
Perfect.
All right. I already see a bunch of questions rolling in, so let's jump back into the Red Crest and how it played out. But Mike Harris did want to know on day 2 if you thought you might have gone into cruise control a little too early because it got pretty tight
At
there.
the time I went, so let me lay it out. Day 2, I start on my little ditch with the Demiki underspin and my Fitzgerald football jig. I catch 11 pounds pretty quickly, like in the first hour, and I'm in the lead on Score Tracker. And I've got 25 pounds and some change, and I'm like, 11 was the cut the first day. So I'm like, if you double that, that's 23 pounds, a little over 23 pounds. I should be fine with 25 pounds to make the cut. And so I do kind of go on cruise control. I run around, I fish some random stuff. I end up catching my biggest bass, a 212 on a Demiki Trimmer 65, which is a little lipless bait from Demiki. And that got me up to 25 and a half pounds, and I'm thinking I'm good. So I do go on cruise control. Not really cruise control, but I'm practicing. I'm looking for fish. I'm seeing what's going on for the whole second period. And then at the end of the second period, I'm down to about 7th place. And I'm still feeling good. I'm fine. The cut's like 21 pounds, and I've got 4 pounds over that, so I'm not that worried. But we creep into the third period, and everybody's catching them. I mean, they're blistering them on day 2. Norman's handing out 3-pounders wholesale. Everybody's catching 3-pounders.
That doesn't happen either.
No, that does not happen very often. That caught me totally off guard. So I'm slipping in the standings. I'm getting down in the teens, and I'm like, we got to go catch a bass. This is getting worrisome. And I fished my tail off the whole third period trying to catch an upgrade, and I can't catch one. I can't catch a big fish and coal to save my life. And I'm sweating the whole third period. Like it wasn't that I wasn't trying. A lot of people thought I were laid up all day, but for 2.5, 3 hours there at the end of the day, I was fishing as hard as I've ever fished in my life to try to catch one to make sure I stay in the cut. Fortunately, it worked out, and I didn't need it. I ended up having about 1.5 pound cushion to make the cut over 21st place. But yeah, it got worrisome there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was worse because a little bit of context to it. We were doing every fish counts last year.
Yeah.
And that goes even faster. If you start going towards that cut line,
Yeah.
you would have been in trouble.
Oh, yeah,
With every
you'd have
fish
been going
counts.
like
but
that.
with 5 fish, it slows it down a little bit. But still, I could only imagine what was going through Brian's mind at that point as you're falling.
So I got to ask you a question, Luke. Mm-hmm. You finished second in Red Crest last year, correct?
I did.
And I watched that finish. It was a pretty epic finish. Your thoughts, because I get this question all the time, and finishing second and watching it back and watching Bobby weigh that fish 3 times, what do you think about the scale deal? Everybody having their own set of scales.
It's not that as much as, I guess, the format. I'm not a big fan of these reweighs that you can hang fish in
The
different
reweigh.
places in their mouth. Guys have learned that they're hanging fish by the upper lip, and sometimes the way the fish hangs on the scale, it'll just fractionally move it over. Our scales used to be quarter-ounce increments, so you could see when you were close.
Okay.
Now they're not, so you might be 1/100 of an ounce away from breaking over that. So
Okay, so you don't know that now,
You don't
but you
know
used
that.
to know that.
yeah,
Interesting.
I think a lot of that's muted now that it's a 5-fish deal too.
Okay.
You know, before getting a 2-pounder, obviously did make a big difference
Yeah.
for me.
Well, yeah. That's
But now, when it's 5-fish deal, it's kind of muted because you're not really around that minimum weight that much. That
Got you.
It doesn't matter if you're catching a 2-pounder. Usually, it's not big enough to do anything anymore.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure making a difference. So that's another positive of moving to the 5-fish deal too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And that was, if you hadn't watched that finish last year at Redcrest, that was pretty epic because I know the thoughts that were going through your mind when you caught that last one, and then hearing that
I still can't bring myself to watch it. I haven't seen it yet. You know, it's painful to be that close, and
I understand.
regardless how it goes down, to be that close and have it taken away from you. The year before, I was at Rayburn, and I finished second there, and it was the same deal. I came back into service and beat me with like a minute to go. So those kind of deals, when you start to feel it like you're going to have a really good shot and it gets pulled away from you, they're probably harder to swallow than just having a bad event and finishing
100%.
like you didn't figure anything out.
Fishing has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
does.
And my drive from Ray Roberts to the Coliseum when I finished second to Hank 2 years ago in the Classic was one of the most emotional drives I've ever had in my life due to things that play over in your mind and things that happen throughout the day and some mistakes that I actually made that cost me a Bassmaster Classic. You know, losing fish is one thing, but then you lose them for certain reasons that are out of your control. Then when you lose one that's completely under your control, then that's the things that haunt you.
Yes.
And it's kind of like you said. I try not to watch highlights of that. I try not to, because it's
You're kind of focusing on the negative at that
Correct.
point. It doesn't
Yep.
do any good.
That's right.
But
That's
you
right.
definitely, it's pretty easy to beat yourself up because every day, if you win a tournament or lose a tournament, you made mistakes. You could look back and say, I could have
Yes.
done better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And I was talking to somebody about thrift the other day. Who was that? Oh, it was Todd Go, talking to my buddy Todd Go that owns Spokes Fish. Said I fished a lot of tournaments with thrift here on Moss Lake over the years. I don't know how many we fished together, 20,
A lot.
30, 40, 50.
Yeah. We used to fish at least 10 or 15 a year.
Okay, well, maybe 60 or 70.
The last couple of years, we hadn't got to fish as many because we're gone so much.
He might be ditching me now because he's moved on to bigger and better
No,
things. But, I cannot remember, and Luke, you could probably vouch for this, watching him fish or in the boat with him, and he hooks a fish, or even seeing it on TV, and him losing one. And on top of that, has the most unorthodox hook sets of anybody in professional bass fishing. But I swear to you, I've never witnessed him lose a bass.
I probably have seen him lose one, but I'm with you on the unorthodox. It looks terrible. I mean, the rod spins over backwards around his head. And it's,
So you remember the one when he set the hook and it flipped around and whacked him in the back of the head?
Actually, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I found that
It was like a
video.
big one, and he landed the fish. I mean, he caught it, and he
Right.
had to dig the hook
Yeah.
out.
Well,
with
see,
like
the thing
pliers.
about it is all our hooks have barbs. And if you set the hook hard enough to get that barb in them, you can let them swim around. They're not going to get off.
it's like sheer panic sets in when you get a bite, it looks like. Your
It
whole body
does.
jerks, your rod's up
It
over
does.
your head.
So a good story about that Luke will get a chuckle out of this, and he'll probably elaborate on it and make it even funnier. So last year at our last event at Mill Axe, we were staying with one of our good buddies, Lee, at his house on a separate lake, and every evening we would go out and go fun fishing because you're in Minnesota and the fish bite like crazy, and we were having fun. And plus, me and Luke we can't get enough of catching bass. We go fish 8 hours and we come back and throw a boat in the water and fish till dark on a different lake. But we're out there and we're catching them on a frog, and I'm just steadily missing them. Like, they're blowing up on my frog. And as soon as he blows up, I'm jerking, and Luke's laughing, and he's like, "Why don't you let him get it?" And I'm like, "He blowed up on it. I'm jerking. He's got it." It was so comical. Luke was having a time with that.
It's kind of comical, but it's pretty fearful, too. There's frogs flying by the boat all day long. Like, I'm thinking I should have brought a helmet with me.
I have witnessed him miss a lot of fish, like winding a swim bait and all kind of stuff, chatterbait, they'll nippity stuff, and he gets pretty ill. But then he's the best in the world too that I've ever seen. It really, like him and KVD, and I'm gonna reference you to KVD because I used to watch Kevin back in the day throw a crankbait, spinnerbait, doesn't matter what it is, jerkbait, and he has the most erratic retrieves, even with something that in our mind is usually more of a consistent retrieve, right? Like a square bill or whatever
Yeah.
it is. He's the same way with a swim bait, underspin, things like that, which you caught a lot of fish during a red crest on both, and a chatterbait. Somebody asked earlier, what weighted jig were you throwing?
I was throwing a Z-Man jackhammer, spot remover.
Spot
Half ounce.
remover, half ounce. All right, there you go. Right down
There
the
is
nitty-gritty
no
there.
other chatterbait but a Z-Man chatterbait.
What color was the trailer?
The trailer was, I don't even remember the color of it.
Oh no,
Shad colored.
that's a lie.
No,
What was it?
it's shad colored trailer.
What kind of trailer?
I ain't seeing. No,
We got, we got him.
no, it was blade minnow.
Blade, is that a Z-Man product, Luke?
No.
Okay, I just wonder why.
No. I was just going to see if he was going to elaborate on anything.
Oh, I know what you're getting at.
Hey, we give the goods on LTF now. So
I'll leave you alone now.
The next 47 questions are going to reference the tweaks to whatever. So back to a few more questions. Oh, okay. Well, there are quite a few questions about your swim bait. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay,
Why
so
not?
I want to know what size head you were throwing on your swim bait.
I was throwing a 1/4 ounce head.
1/4 ounce. All right,
Yes.
1/4 ounce. So that answered one question. We'll just leave it at that for now.
1/4 ounce head, 5.8 inch swim bait on my signature series frog rod, and I don't know if you could see on the live, but like it's the perfect setup. I was throwing that 7.2 medium heavy Fitzgerald frog rod with the Fitzgerald VLD 10 reel. It's a 7.2 gear ratio, and that thing skips so amazing. Like you could slide it all the way out the one end of a pontoon boat to the other from 30 yards away. Like it was amazing how accurate I was able to cast that swim bait and put it where I needed to put it to get bit. And it was a lot of fun. I know one of the highlight reels was day 3 when I caught a 3.6 and a 4.9 largemouth on back-to-back docks, and it was pretty much an unedited straight clip about 4 casts apart, and you can literally see the swim bait skip all the way under there, and as soon as it hits the water and I engage the reel, they've got it. And that was probably one of the most epic things I've ever done in an event, catching those 2 big ones back to back. But I was throwing that swim bait on 20-pound P-line fluorocarbon, the 100% blue box fluorocarbon. And FYI, Matt, who is also a big fan and on the P-line team with me, there is a BOGO the entire month of April on the P-line 100% fluorocarbon at all your local retailers. It's going to be buy one, get one free. So make sure you check
Starting 1st
that
of
out.
April?
Yep, 1st April,
Okay.
running the
So
entire month.
same as
of
last
April.
year.
Same as last year.
All right, so I've had like 10 buddies ask me, is P-Line going to do the BOGO deal? Because I don't want to buy any until April rolls around. But yeah, so that's pretty awesome. And thanks for giving everybody a heads up, because I hadn't heard for sure if they were doing that again. That's funny. Yeah, how much money is Smoke charging Matt every time he touches the trophy?
Thrift, you got to
You
tell
should
the
pay me.
story about when you fished at Lake Norman with Edwin. I got a big kick out of that today.
Oh, about him not remembering.
We need to hear that.
No, about how you were poaching his fish.
So,
Poaching Edwin's fish on Lake Norman.
As he was a co-angler.
so this was
And
back.
you fished with
I
Edwin.
remember that. I remember that.
You
yeah.
fished that event too.
No, I didn't fish it.
I thought you did.
But that was the one where everybody wrecked them the first day in that nasty weather.
that
everybody
nasty
caught like
weather.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
And you won that as a co-angler, right?
No, I finished like 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
So, but one day Edwin was, I think it was the
Poaching
3rd or 4th day of Red Crest. We're upstairs, we're doing our media interviews, and they've got all the top 5 lined up at the table with the media personnel asking you questions, and Edwin's answering a question. And he's talking about he won in a Bassmaster event on Lake Norman. It was either 2004 or 5, and he was talking about how he couldn't find the coves that he fished in that event because everything had changed and looked different. And I reminded Edwin that I was his co-angler the 3rd day in that event, and I was a co-angler, and you're fishing on front of the boat, so he didn't even remember that I was fishing with him. But
Did he not know? He didn't put 2 and 2 together?
No. No, he didn't. We
Bryan
forgot
freaking
about it.
Thrift, man.
But at the time, you fished with co-anglers in 2005. You don't remember who they are.
If they became world champions, I did. I mean, how many times?
I've never been through that, so I don't know. But yeah,
Just saying. All right, go ahead.
So I was joking with Edwin. I was like, or I told the media people, I was like, Edwin, I could show you where those pockets were. I fished with you in that event. And he just got this dumbfounded look like, really? Like, yeah, I fished with you the third day. You caught the biggest bag of the tournament. Because that's when they did shared weights. Like the co-angler got the pros weight.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like all excited because Edwin caught the biggest bag that day. But I remember that day Edwin was fishing docks with a little jig. And he would go around the dock and he would fish one side of the dock and he would turn the boat and go down the side so he could come around the front and fish the front. Well, when he'd turn the boat to the side, you know, I'd have open range of the dock. Well, I'd just skip my jig all the way from that side to the other side of the dock before he got over there. And I would catch him before he got over there.
Did he realize?
Oh, yeah.
That they were coming out the other side of the dock?
He finally started making comments like, I'm going to go around and fish the other side of the dock if you don't want to skip all the way over there.
Was he not able to get it from one side to the other?
At the time, no, he wasn't.
That's gold right there. Luke, I'm glad you brought that to our attention.
yeah, it was a pretty funny story.
That's good stuff. Oh, Joe Mitchell said he's been buying all of Thrift's Redcrest winning equipment all day long today.
It's good stuff.
On every tackle site he can get on. I'm trying to go backwards because there's a ton of questions. But
I want to say a huge thank you while we're here waiting on Matt to find us another good question.
I got plenty.
Yeah, just to all the fans and friends that have congratulated me. It's been awesome. I put a lot of pressure on myself, especially after everybody coming up saying, "Oh, you're going to win Redcrest," and you know, I was kind of sweating it. I was nervous, and I want to thank everyone for the support. It's awesome. Thank y'all.
So I'm gonna slide this over without it falling because you're blocking the Angler's Choice logo.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get a little closer to me. So what's funny, we got almost 400 viewers. We usually only average, Luke, around 200-ish or so. So I really appreciate you being on the show tonight because I'm 99% sure that's why we have almost 400
I'm
viewers.
sure you're right.
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with whatever's going on right here next to me.
One thing for you not to put any pressure on you for next week.
Trust me, I've already got like 80 messages. Brian's won Redcrest. We can't see the classic trophy here next week.
Last time I won a championship and brung the cup to North Carolina. Brought.
Okay, thank you. We've been working on our English every episode.
So the year I won the
Not
cup,
good.
and Hank won the classic, so both major championships were in the state of North Carolina.
So by the way, that brings up an awesome point.
You need to get to work.
We have, it starts Friday. Work starts Friday. We have had a now we've had a Redcrest trophy, a Bassmaster Classic trophy, and a Bassmaster Angler of the Year trophy in this studio. And I bet we're the only podcast in the U.S. that can say
And
that.
a Forest Wood Cup trophy.
And a Forest Wood Cup trophy, which my apologies because, I mean, this is kind of like the replacement Forest Wood Cup trophy, I guess, in a roundabout way.
Nah.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. Rest in peace, Forest Wood Cup.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So Forest Wood Cup. So now we just need. What are we missing? We need a BPT AOY trophy.
Yeah. Had we started the podcast when I won Angler of the Year in 17? I don't think we started till like 18, did we?
No, we hadn't started it then.
Yeah.
But you could bring it and just set it here on a show
could.
sometime, so we could throw that in there too. All right, couple questions. Let's see. Jay, okay, that's a great question. How bad is it when the cameraman asks you to talk in the middle of the biggest tournament of the year when you're trying to fish? So, go ahead.
It's not bad, but I don't say much sometimes. Like, I remember Cody, I always mess with Cody Prather, was my cameraman all week. And me and Cody get along great. We always have a good time. He gets in the boat and he says, we're going to bust them today. And I said, no, we're not going to catch nothing, Cody. And he's like, that's the attitude, because he knows the plan. He's like, I told him one time a long time ago, if you have low expectations, you're never disappointed. And then I went on to like bust 25 pounds on a frog that day. And so now he's like, we got low expectations this morning. I said, of course, always. And everything seems to work out. But we have a good time. But Cody, he'll ask me, so what are your thoughts? What's going on? Or I'll catch one like I think one day, I think it's the day I caught that 410 spot. Cody says, so tell me what that 410 spot done for you. And I said, well, it gave me 4 pounds and 10 ounces more than I had, Cody. And I kind of left it at that. But when you get caught up in the moment, especially that final day, like, I know I hate to bring it up because we've already talked about it, but I kept thinking about Luke last year at Red Crest, and I think that's why I kind of looked to be unemotional when the clock ran down, because I'm waiting on some kind of signal of, yes, you 100% have won this event, before I kind of lost it and fell to the ground and was like, oh, it's finally over. We can breathe.
So Jacob, our buddy Jacob's got a good question, and I'm going to shoot this one to Luke because they get to hear me and you answer questions all the time. You and I, sorry. You know,
I didn't catch it.
so a
because
lot of
that's what I
prep
would've
goes
said.
into a game plan for Red Crest, or in my case, the Classic major championships. The thing that you put the most emphasis on going into a major event versus a regular season event?
I think you really probably risk more because there's really no place that matters. Nobody remembers who got second, and maybe me more so than some people because it was in a fantastic fashion. But second's usually not remembered. You know, you have one goal. A lot of times you swing a little bit harder. And I know that's kind of cliche that people say, oh, swinging for the fences when you're fishing. But the reality is a lot of times you're trying to catch bigger fish. You're really pushing something harder where you think you're going to catch bigger fish. It's not a points game. There's one place that matters. So it's not that you're throwing a 16-inch swim bait all day, but you're trying to put yourself in position to catch bigger fish all day. You're not as worried about failure.
Yeah, I'm going to 100% agree with that. I think, you know, my first Classic or first Forest Wood Cup was kind of starstruck, like just happy to be there, yada, yada, yada. And then after that, you go for one reason, along with all the other veterans that are fishing those championships, and it's win or nothing, you know. Mm-hmm. And
See, I don't look at it like that.
He's gonna say, I'm just there to make money.
That's what
I
I'm
just
gonna
want to
say.
make money. Well, you just made $300,000 because you won the biggest tournament you had to fish this year.
Yeah, I know.
So,
But yeah, you saying that, and you're also throwing a pretty decent sized swim bait all day trying to catch big ones. You're not worried
That's
about
true.
catching more spots to try to
yeah,
gain another
because-
place.
That's a good
so,
point.
so
That's a
he-
good point.
He just nailed you up, and the reason being is because he's always that guy that's like, I always want to catch 100 instead of 6 because I feel like my odds are better at catching big fish. But when he picked up that swim bait, he knew for a fact he wasn't going to catch 100 bass.
Yeah, but that comes from knowing the lake too,
Well, I agree, but still, you know what's
and
funny
and
about
knowing
that?
I got aces in the hole that I can run to.
Now it comes out. Yeah, you asked him that last week. He's like, I don't know.
Well, I can't even catch a limit.
Yeah, I don't know if I can catch
Hey, I
5.
never said that. I never said that.
You said, I think you said, I will probably catch 5, but they'll weigh 9.5 pounds.
That's my MO at Norman most of the time.
Except for when there's a tournament and a scale involved.
Yeah,
Just prove you.
I'm like, he's won 3 major events there, fished like
So
3 major
we
events
fished
there.
like 3 LTF challenges on Norman, and I think I've yet to crack 10 pounds in those.
Let me tell you why, Luke.
There was no money.
No. He still wants to win even when there's no money. There was $10 signed $10 bill on the line. Because one time he fished with Wheeler, and he sure as heck wasn't going to take Wheeler to none of his juice. And the other time, who'd you fish with?
You.
And we won that
We
one.
did. I was
We
gonna
won
say the
that
only one we caught
so
a
he'll
decent
share it
bag.
with me because we're not competing against each other anymore. But he just see, if you went out
forgot
there
about
and
it,
fished the
'cause we had,
LTF
like-
challenge, you and I would have to fish together, so we could go fish the good stuff, and then Thrift would have to take
No, I've
Tyler
been-
or somebody else.
Me and Luke went to Norman last year, and we had a good time.
Did
You
you
didn't
catch?
take me to the good stuff.
Did you catch a big bag, Luke?
What did we catch? Like 12 pounds?
How many did we catch?
A lot of
Well, that
hybrids.
that
little
got
ones.
nothing to do with Norman though. You caught 12 pounds. He didn't take you to the juice. He caught you where you could get a lot of bites. What time of year did y'all go?
When was it we went? It's before they announced Red Crest because we couldn't be in the boat after
Oh, so
that.
it was in the fall.
It might have been late summer even.
No, it was early summer. It was like
Because it was right before we went
late
to Cayuga.
April, early May, something
well,
like
12
that.
pounds
No,
pretty
it
strong
was
then.
August, I think, because it was right before
No,
we
it
went to
wasn't
Cayuga.
August.
Wasn't Cayuga in August?
Yeah, because they had announced Red Crest by then and we couldn't go. That's when we went to Lookout Shoals.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Our
all
boy
a blur.
Chad Williams is on here from Angler's Choice. Wants to know about our thoughts so far on the Ranger R boat compared to previous models, and we've talked a little bit about it on the show. Go ahead, Brian.
To me, it's the best boat Ranger's built in 15 years.
So yeah, and I hate
20 years.
and I have not honestly never said exactly what Brian just said, and I hate to be repetitive, but I'm going to say the exact same thing, and the reason being, there's a lot of reasons, but the R boat, the seats in that thing are unreal. First of all, which comfort. Brian and I are getting a little up in age, and comfortable ride is
we
very
are.
important. But
I
you're still
picked up-
winning.
I know, but what did I do this morning? I picked up something.
We're talking about the R boat. Now, where are you going with this?
I'm just going with us getting old. Like I picked up something this morning. I don't know, remember what it was, a drink or a remote or my
Sundrop?
wallet or something to put in my pocket. And dude, I tore, like my wrist started hurting. And I was
You
like,
just fished like 49,000 hours
yeah,
in
but
a
it
row.
was fine before. Like I just picked it up wrong and like it's fine now, but it hurt for like an hour. But anyway, back to the R boat.
The most comfortable ride. Getting old.
We just go down.
We're talking about how
rabbit holes.
comfortable the seats are in our R boats because we're getting older and we need a comfortable ride. And how old are you, Luke?
44.
42, 44,
43.
43. Oh, we're fine. We're
that's
right,
all right.
right in line with each other.
I'll be 44 this year though.
Okay. All right. But the R boat, and it's a little faster. Like, it's a little faster than my previous Rangers.
The ride's what gets me. It gets very good lift. It handles quartering waves really well. Like, it's really a good boat. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of the best Rangers I've ever owned.
Last year when I went up north, which when I got to actually put it through the test, I got to battle Lake Ontario the first day of practice up there for a little while, and I didn't battle it long because I just got tired. You know, like it's just one of them. It was bad.
One of the things where I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, and you know, it was really unreal. I mean, it really was. And to Brian's point, it is the best. I've owned, gosh, about probably same as you, about 14 or 15 Rangers now, something like that. And it's the best riding boat, Ranger I've ever been in. And of course, it's got, it's an R boat, so it's a Cadillac. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got the live well systems have always been second to none in Rangers. I'm knock on wood. Fish casualties for me in my entire career have been at a bare minimum, and unfortunately, I can't say that about all my comrades that don't have Ranger live wells. So, which y'all don't have to worry about that. I know.
No, that's the
figured y'all
beauty
come
in
back
LA.
and say something like, "Well, we don't have to worry about live wells."
Yeah. I
Brian
got
uses his
live
tackle
well
store
Right, I
tackle.
was just saying,
I
keep
got
your
live
tackle
well
dry.
tackle.
Yeah,
Live well.
keeps your tackle dry.
Yeah,
So
it does. Like,
so
you
do
can
you
close
use your
the
live wells
valve
as
on it.
storage?
Garbage, yeah.
Oh, okay, trash
Yeah.
cans. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a good trash can. Yeah, dang right. All right, let's keep trying to jump into questions. Oh, were you drinking regular Sun Drop during the tournament or diet?
Mostly regular.
Mostly regular.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to get all jacked up.
Did you drink any water at all?
No.
No water.
Well, this is made from water. It's just got other stuff added to it. Yeah. It really is.
Theory.
Luke, Ryan Hansen wants to know if you used to live in Aberdeen, South Dakota.
My family was all from there. I've been there a lot. So
Okay.
all my family, I guess on my dad's or my mom's side rather, lived in Aberdeen, and some of them still live there. I've been there a lot pheasant hunting, and I have not lived there though.
Okay. All right, maybe that's what he was thinking. All right, from Trevor Topkin, y'all, it's for both of you. Largemouth or smallmouth going to win Cherokee?
Whew, I have no idea. I fished Douglas one time a long time ago. I fished Cherokee one time a few years ago, and I know the time on Cherokee, there's a lot of smallmouth in that lake, a lot, and there's some good ones. So I'm going to say with the championship round being on Cherokee, smallmouth are going to win it.
I would go with a mixed bag probably on Cherokee. And a lot of that's based on just internet research I've done, not my experience. I've been there once. There's a lot of smallmouth there. There's a lot of nice smallmouth, but there's not many 4+ pound smallmouth from my understanding. But they did catch some 7-pound largemouth out of there. So I think the opportunity in a 2-day event like that for a guy to go out there and mix in 1 or 2 big largemouth, it could very well be a difference maker.
So that's interesting you said that because when it was Wheeler that won the Cherokee
Yes.
Bassmaster event there, right? And he won it on 100% smallmouth.
Yeah, and when the last FLW event we had there, I think Andrew Upshaw won it on
Spawn and
strictly
smallmouth.
Yeah.
So in a 100% pre-spawn to a full-blown spawn, smallmouth still dominated both events. But to Luke's point, it's funny he said that because Cherokee, historically speaking, if you look at the tournaments, it was usually like the guys who won the tournaments dedicated their entire event to one species or the other.
The other, yeah.
I never really saw a guy like going 50-50, and that's interesting to me because you would think, just like you said, like I remember watching Wheeler and those guys catching them out deep on a Demiki rig, and they would catch like 2 3/4 to 3 1/4 pounders, right? Like gobs of them, and when they got to 15 pounds, it was really hard for them to cull up past that.
Yeah,
like
get
they
that
looked like
16.
long, skinny fish there too. They weren't built like northern smallmouth. And then, but I never saw those guys bail on that and then like slide up to try to catch a big largemouth because I've heard there's big largemouth in that lake too. So that's interesting because with a 5-fish format, it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. you
And
know?
it's a 2-day event. Those, a lot of those have been dominated with smallmouth, but they're 4-day events.
That's a good point
So
too.
in a 2-day event, a 7-pounder mixed in your bag means a lot more than it
That's
does in a
very true.
4-day event.
Absolutely.
I hadn't
yeah.
thought about that. That's a very good point Luke makes.
So in the research that you've done, springtime pre-spawn deals / spawn deals, 1-day derbies, largemouth.
They catch some big bags of largemouth out of there.
Okay.
I mean, from what I've seen, there's going to be guys with mixed bags that'll win on smallmouth sometimes. They catch 18, 19-pound bags of smallmouth. But there's also big bags of largemouth. And the little bit I understand about it, those big bags of largemouth are generally anchored with 2 really big ones. And so they'll have some 2.5, 3-pounders, but they'll have a 6 and a 7 or
sixes or
something like that,
something. Okay.
Yeah.
And a fish like that with a limit of 3.5-pound smallmouth is going to be pretty hard to compete with over 2 days if you can, get lucky and get
Right.
those big bites.
That's going to be interesting to see how guys approach it if they try to go get them a limit of smallmouth for 13, 14 pounds or
And
whatever.
then bail on it
and then
try
slide
to catch
up,
that kicker.
.
Or if they've got the places they can ensure themselves that decent smallmouth limit and start out trying to catch a big largemouth or something.
Yeah.
Nick wants to know on your football jig, the size you were throwing at Norman, and he said it looked like you were almost dead sticking it. You were working it so slow. You want to talk about your cadence with
Yeah,
your football
so
jig?
the football jig, like I said, it was my signature series micro football jig from Fitzgerald Fishing. I was throwing a 1/2 ounce, the green pumpkin yellow, putting a little 3-inch Demiki air crawl on the back of it. And the reason it appeared I was fishing it so slow is because I was throwing it fairly deep, 25 to 30 foot. And I was throwing it on 12-pound P-line fluorocarbon, but I was constantly moving. I know I was facing away from the camera, but if you could see me from the side, I was constantly winding it, kind of like you would a biffle head or something like that. But the reason I was going so slow is because I wanted to maintain bottom contact in that 25 to 30 foot of water. So I had to wind it a little slower to make sure that jig was still on the bottom as I was winding it. But I was using it still covering water, but I wanted it to stay on the bottom.
All right. Well, that's I hope that answers all your questions. Nick, he had a couple in one, but that was pretty detailed answer. So, all right. 5 days of competition, John Palmore, and I had several people ask me about this because I was working the expo on Friday and Saturday. About 5 days. What does it do to you as an angler, and is it really necessary? And what are y'all's thoughts on that?
On the 5-day format?
On 5 days.
Man, I'm not saying this because I won, but I love the 5-day format for a championship event because you think about this. Fortunately, my game plan worked flawlessly, but throughout the course of a 5-day event, you can't win it on one spot because it's going to run out. No one spot's going to hold up for 5 days straight.
No, I've seen one hold up for 4, but
It's
I've
very
never seen a
odd.
5-day tournament. So
Yeah,
can
but
you
it's
speak for
very
that?
odd for one to hold up
Right.
for 5
Yeah, and
days.
this was a ledge tournament on
Right.
Kentucky Lakes. So it's a little different
Right,
too.
or something like that. Also, one big day cannot carry you to a victory. So there's absolutely no luck involved in the outcome of a 5-day event.
Well, when your
And you have to
your
make
weights are zeroed though, you really fished a 3-day after the first 2, and then a big day can carry you
yeah,
because it's
but
no
most of
different
the
than a 3-day
time guys
championship.
aren't going to lay up the first 2 days no matter. Like the first day you're going to go where you think you can guarantee yourself making the cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you put some stuff in your pocket and kept it for a while, didn't you?
I had one spot I was hoping to, but listen,
Just
the,
one,
the
you know,
reason
just
I
one
kept
loop.
it in my pocket was because I didn't need it. But if I had needed that spot that
You'd
I
have
ended up
utilized
winning on day 4 and day 5, I would have went there first day 1
So
or day
you,
2.
you spoke of going practicing, and I meant to ask you this. You went practicing on part of day 2. Did
Yeah.
you find anything that you utilized in the final 3 days during that
No,
practice
no,
period?
I say I was practicing, but I really wasn't practicing. I was just purposely running places that I hadn't planned on fishing.
To see if there was
and
anything.
throwing that swim bait around, trying to see, you know, what area, because Norman, historically, one area of the lake gets hot, if that makes sense. I know Matt's got a lot of experience there, and he saw it multiple times. Like, they'll bite in a 5 to 6 mile section of the lake better than anywhere else. Like, it may be on the lower end, it may be the middle section, it may be one creek, it may be up the river. It may be anywhere on the lake. There'll be one particular section of a couple of miles that the fish are just biting better. And I don't know what makes that happen, but I was running around just trying to find if another section of the lake was firing that I could utilize for the future days of the tournaments, you know.
That's one thing I think some of the guys, and Marty Stone called me in before the event, you know, doing his homework. I think he talked to Seawright, he talked to Scott Hamrick. Him and I talked for a while. And I don't have the experience that a lot of those guys do on Norman. I've fished it over the years and off and on. But one thing about Norman that's very unique is that it is truly a lake that you could win a tournament on anywhere on the lake. Like from one end to the other, it is exactly what Brian said. And a lot of guys, you know, and most of us get that kind of area that we have our confidence in when we go to a body of water. But Brian, knowing what he knew, there are sections. It almost fishes like, would you say 4 different lakes?
Yeah, almost.
I mean, almost like
Yeah,
4
like-
different lakes in one.
Like it may be more than that. I mean, so let's see what our sections are. So you've got the Davidson section.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not including Ramsey in
No,
that.
no.
Yeah, that's like a different lake.
Yeah, you've got the Davidson section. You've got the Ramsey to No Man's Land section. Like, I consider all that kind of the same.
Yeah. Well, Ramsey can fire so early though
Yeah,
because of the
Ramsey
discharge.
could be a whole nother section.
Yeah, well, that's what I told
Yeah.
Marty. I said because of that discharge down there, it can be a month earlier than the rest of the entire
Right.
lake.
Right.
For whatever reason, that didn't seem to be happening, which was weird to me.
Yeah, I haven't went back and watched all of the live. I watched a little bit of it, and
I thought guys would be posted up on bedfish and Ramsey like every 50 yards the first day, and they
Yeah.
weren't. Like they weren't there.
yeah,
They weren't there yet.
I'm
for
sure
whatever
there were
reason.
quite a few caught off bait, which I talked to Ott, and I know he had found some all the way up in McCurry.
Right, but that was like so. What I think what had happened was Ramsey was not near as warm as it normally is this time of year due to the fact that they weren't generating quite as much hot water down there because it'd been so mild here.
Right.
Which made sense in my mind. And then guys reported catching bedfish scattered throughout the whole lake.
Right.
Which was odd to me.
Right,
you
that
know?
was odd to me
So-
as well.
But anyway, continue with the breakdown of the lakes or the breakdown of the lake.
Yeah,
the
so-
lakes in the lake.
Yeah, so Ramsey, the Davidson section, then you kind of got the main lake section from Davidson up to No Man's Land, and then I would put No Man's and Little Creek and those kind of in the same section, and then you've got Mountain Creek was like a whole nother lake. That's a section once you go under Slanton Bridge,
Yeah.
and then you've got the section from Hager's Creek up to, say, State Park, and then you got the State Park up to the river. Is kind of how I break the lake down, and usually one of those sections will be firing better than the other.
All right, the spot that
And
you
it
called your
changes
river
every day.
spot, how far up the river was it?
Ooh, secrets.
Well, I mean, you don't have to tell them 27.3 miles from Blythe Landing. I was just like way
yeah.
up above the bridge.
Yeah,
or-
it was up above the bridge a mile or two, something like that, I'd say.
Okay, so a couple miles above
Yeah.
the bridge. All right, that's all you had to say. Let's see. That's interesting. We've had this question before. I'm gonna ask Luke because we've answered it. Your power pole. Do you run Raptors power poles?
Power poles.
Okay, so power poles or your spot lock. Which one do you run more now?
Oh, I still like to run power poles when I can, when it's shallow enough, because once you're in the bottom, you're silent. You're not having that motor run all the time. And that very well may change. I got the power pole move trolling motor, and I've never heard anything. You can't hear the motor run. I mean, it's dead silent.
That quiet.
It's that quiet. They've actually tried to do acoustic tests on it, and the ambient noises are louder than the motor. You run it out of the water, you cannot hear it run.
Wow.
So I think that's probably going to change. Obviously, it gets really shallow. I'm not going to sit there on spot lock and have it grinding up grass or chew it into the bottom. But yeah, it's a very precise and dead silent. So
I've heard amazing things about the new Move trolling motor. I haven't got to run one yet, but I'm gonna jump in either Corey or Chris's boat at the next tournament and
you need to check it out. It is
Drive
really
one.
the power is something that's unbelievable too. The stuff you go through, stuff I never thought I could. Even after a couple days of fishing it in Florida, you look at stuff, be like, you can't troll through that. I mean, literally, that cheese growing on top of Kissimmee grass with hydrilla blowing
Yeah.
into it, and it's just a mat. You're like, there's no way I'll make it through that.
And one
Go
thing,
through
like
it.
down in so the moonshine area of Okeechobee now is a lot of dead pad stems that are actually folded over, and that's like chopping through wood almost,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like it's detrimental to trolling motor props, and I could see like that being a huge benefit, and the how silent it is too.
Right,
yeah.
I've got to run one, but y'all keep in mind in the show we're doing a big giveaway tonight, so a couple big giveaways. Where were we at, Brian? I mean, there's so many questions on here. I'm just trying to
I
pick
know,
and
I'm the
choose
same way.
and bob and weave. But there's only been 672 comments on here about now I need to win the classic. That's it. No pressure though.
Nah.
What trailer did you use on your football jig? I've seen that question 3
I was
times.
using the 3-inch Demiki Armor Shad and Green Pumpkin. I mean, God, Armor Shad. That's what I was throwing.
I'm about to say you throwing a swim bait on your football jig.
Demiki
That's
Air
pretty cool.
Crawl. And it wasn't a swim bait. It's just a straight-tailed Armor Shad on the underspin.
Yeah.
No paddle tail.
Okay. All right. Zero in weights after day 2. What are your thoughts?
I liked it. I mean, I think it's for a 5-day event. I think it's fitting.
What are your thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, I'm with it too. You kind of get, not to be derogatory to anybody, but you get kind of some of the guys out of the way that aren't catching them. You get people that just blow everything they have in the first couple days to make it.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to get those weights zeroed. The problem with if you didn't zero them in a 5-day event, you could have somebody run away with it where it's not even exciting to watch. That somebody has one really good place they blaze for 2 days, and then by the 5th day, it's not even a game anymore.
Okay, so that's
That's a good point.
yeah, that is, and I've always been a fan of especially if they're 2 or 3 days is cumulative weight tournaments because winning a 1-day deal or a 2-day deal, you can get a little bit luckier, kill
Yeah.
yourself with a big bag, but you do it 3 or 4 days in a row, like
Yeah, you've earned it.
the best comes out on
Yeah.
top. Back in the FLW days, and you were fishing then, I think I might have been a co-angler still, 05, 06, and
Yeah, that's when you won the cup, wasn't
Yeah,
it? What,
you-
04.
04.
won the
First
cup in
Cup,
04.
yeah.
So I started as a co-angler in 05. So the year after you won the cup. When I started, I think 06 is when we went back and Brent won it on Logan Martin, I
Right.
believe. And you won it on Logan Martin too, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So so was that tournament when you won the Forest Wood Cup? Was that the bracket deal?
It was.
So that was crazy to me. Like tell people about that.
I
Don't know
bet that
about
was
that.
unique.
So it was scary and frustrating when you're the guy that's
Absolutely.
because I caught the biggest bag every day of the event for I don't know if it was 5 days.
I can't
4
remember.
days. I don't
can't
remember. It was a lot of days. And I ended up winning by it was your roommate Scott Martin got second in that event, and I think I only won by 4 or 6 ounces, something like that.
Because you couldn't keep your weights, right?
It comes down to a 1-day shootout the last
It
day.
was head.
Yeah.
So tell everybody what that format was, because a lot of these people don't even know that existed.
So the best I recall it was a bracket format that you kept moving on by beating a head-to-head competition.
Yeah, so you're just fishing against one other angler each day.
Right, yeah, for the first couple days, I think, and then you end up you keep the bracket keeps breaking down until you're left with 10, and then it's a 1-day tournament with 10 guys fishing. So, it's scary going into that last day. You've caught the biggest stringer every day, cumulative weight. You would just blow it away, but you got to go do it again. And
So you can't leave anything. You've got to catch as much as you can
Yeah,
every day.
Right, 'cause it's not
Absolutely.
live.
Right,
We don't
yeah.
know. I mean, I could have lost. There was guys that lost or won with 6 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, like catching nobody. The guy you're fishing against catches nothing, or he catches a huge bag and you lose by an ounce. But yeah,
That's the beauty of having Score Tracker. I love it.
And what Luke's telling y'all, I don't know if you realize, but to what he just said, a guy could have caught the 3rd or 4th biggest bag of the day and got eliminated. out of 30 or 40 guys.
You could have caught the second biggest bag of the day and got
the second
eliminated.
biggest
Yeah.
bag, yeah.
Yeah, and you also could win with 3 pounds potentially,
Yeah.
or 1 pound, or
Yes.
whatever. You know, it's it was. I was not a fan of that format. You know, but this 5-day deal, like, I think that's the greatest thing ever. I know there were some anglers that were not happy about having a 5-day event. And in February, there's no way the conditions aren't going to change over 5 days to where
Right.
you're going to have to adjust all the time.
Yep.
I think it's a great deal. Really shows the best fishermen. You know, if it gets much longer than that, it might be a little out of control.
Yeah.
If you end up having like a 10-day event, you know, I think it really shows the best fisherman, the guy that was able to adapt to the conditions throughout the year. When those fish are in that position that they're pre-spawn, spawn, you know, they're changing all the time, and the weather beats them off and moves them up, and you got to keep your game on to stay with it over that long of an event.
Yeah, that was a tough deal. So I think they did. I'm assuming they did it from a fan perspective to make it more engaging or whatever. But from a fisherman's perspective, or the guys competing in the tournament, it was like
Yeah, it wasn't good.
super frustrating. I mean,
Yeah.
you said it was very frustrating.
You're
It's
talking about the bracket.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Like to catch. I remember Tracy Adams at Lake Hamilton. I believe it was Lake Hamilton. It was the one George Cochran won in 05. So that was my first year as a co-angler. I got to fish that one as a co-angler, and watching the way that tournament went down, the first 2 days. I think the first 2 days it was cumulative weight, and then you knocked your guy out and moved on, and then it was like head-to-head one day, then head-to-head one day on the final day. First 2 days, if he would have got to keep those 2 weights, he would have been like second or third in the overall tournament and would have actually had a shot to win on the final day. But the third day, it got zeroed. He went head-to-head with a guy, caught a pretty decent bag, got knocked out. And that, to your point, I felt so bad for Tracy,
Yeah.
you know, because he was catching them as good as anybody in the tournament for multiple days and ended
When
up
did
having to
I
go
guess
home.
they did away with that format in 2006 or 7?
7, I think.
I know
it was.
my rookie year in 07, they weren't doing that.
06 they still were, because I got beat by Shin in 06 on my birthday. And when he beat me, Shin goes, "Happy birthday, Yoke."
After he beat you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
That's golden.
Oh, Shin. coming in.
That's pretty good. Like, I could picture Shin saying that right now. Like, I could just see him saying that.
I remember that cup. That 06 cup I fished with Dan Moorhead, Brent Chapman, and Rob Kilby.
Yeah.
And Kilby, I ended up winning it as a co-angler, and Kilby on the final day, and Andy finished second, Montgomery finished second as a co-angler in that one. And Kilby on the final day was an interesting experience. We'll just leave it at that. But he was fishing offshore brush, as a lot of guys were, and it was just one of them days. Like, I caught like 6 bass all day. He caught like 30. He pull up throwing a brush pile, and I just fire out the back of the boat, catch a 2.5 pound spot. You know, I mean, just and
He was
you
catching
could
all
see
pound and a
you
half.
could see smoke just coming out his ears. You know, and anyway, it was just one of those days. But it was bracket deal. He caught a limit for like 6 pounds and got knocked out.
Yeah.
You know, that's tough. That's a tough way to
is
go
a tough deal.
go down. Did bait fuel play a factor in the victory? Midwest Bass Hunter wants to know, Brian.
I threw a lot of moving baits, like with the swim bait and the chatter bait. It didn't play a factor at all. I did use it a little bit on the football jig and caught some fish on the football jig. So I can't say yes or no. Maybe.
All right, so we keep it all out in the open here on Let's Talk Fish. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
We had this question about 3 times, so we've had a show about this, Luke. We had
I know where
we
you're
had
going.
Andy Montgomery on the show talking about this like 2 years ago, talking about our biggest fears on the water, like what's your worst fear on the water, what could potentially happen. So you got to give us what your biggest fear on the water would be. And it can't be. Don't say breakdown, because that's too cliche.
I got.
That happens to
I'm
all.
just trying to think of anything I'm afraid of on the water, like
Carbs. He's afraid of carbs.
filling my pooping my pants. I'm trying to think like what I'm afraid of on the water.
That would suck.
It would
That would.
suck, and it's happened before, but it
It's hard. Like so he's been staying at the shop, and I've been trying to think of places to take him to eat where he can get something with no carbs in it. So that's
Oh,
why
you're
I-
on a 0 carb.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
get less fat. Yeah.
Less.
Yeah,
less
so that's the plan. I spent all fall. I got a 6-year-old daughter, and I tried the same diet she's on, and it's not good for you.
I got a 10 and a 5-year-old daughter, and I cannot eat like they do.
Yeah, eating hot dogs and ice cream all the time.
Brad Kell wants to know y'all's thoughts. Obviously, this is for y'all, not me. Thoughts on keeping your biggest bass, just your biggest bass, for weigh-in purposes.
I don't think it's necessary. I think it's unnecessary.
I know everybody puts fish in their live well for tournaments all over the country. We have the ability to not do it. And that's one of the things I probably like about this format the most is not messing with fish. Not because I'm afraid of a fish spining me or smelling like fish or anything like that, but like the last thing you want to do is mess around with the fish, worry about killing it. Like I kill fish to eat at home, but I'd feel guilty when I kill a fish, put it in the live well. I don't want to sit there and worry about that fish all day. And, we surely don't want to cull because that's like punishment. You've just caught one, you put in the live well, now you got to stop fishing and go mess with fish. There's people that want to see fish at weigh-in. I get that. I guess I don't see the intrigue to it personally, but I understand people do like that. I don't think it's necessary. We have footage of catching the fish. You can sit there and play, which is a lot more exciting than watching a guy hold up a fish, in my opinion.
So and everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's why I love the show. Yeah. So one thing, and I worked Redcrest, which is my first Redcrest that I've worked. The number one complaint that I heard from people is they don't get to see fish. Now, from an angler standpoint, my standpoint, your standpoint, do we want to have to deal with fish in our live wells? We never want to have to deal with fish in our live wells because we're out there fishing and we want to fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to be.
They want to see the stage presence.
Correct.
Like they want to see.
They don't come necessarily to see Luke Clawson, Bryan Thrift, or Matt Arey. They come to see bass.
Yeah.
And that's a guarantee. And I can promise you that. And the reason being is because you just watch the natural reaction of fans when you hold up a big fish to show them, right? So the biggest thing, and one thing that we did at the Ray Roberts Classic, which I would love to see the entire sport go this way, because this is a compromise, is if you could get these tournament organizations to take their scales, however they want to weigh them,
right,
and go to the landings, and this does go back to defeating the purpose of keeping the fish in your live wells. But you bring the fish to the ramps, you weigh these fish on the scales, and you only keep your two best fish, and that's it.
So you're bringing two fish.
You're only bringing one for each hand.
Yeah.
And you're bringing your two best fish in, and that's it. Now, this is for championship format tournaments where you're traveling to weigh-ins and things like that.
And you could leave it to the angler's discretion. Like, say
well, if he's got 2 pound and a halfers, like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he's not going to bring them up.
Correct. Yeah. I get that. But if a guy went out there and he caught a 9 pounder and it's the biggest tournament bass of his entire life, and, he should have the option to be able to show it off to the fans.
We do have, we don't have the option to show it off for fans, but, we do have a thing where if we catch a true trophy-sized bass, we're allowed to put it in the live well, and they do DNA
like a state
swab.
record
They
or
swab
something.
it for DNA.
They
is
swab
what
it for
they do for the
DNA
fisheries
and,
division.
record it and make it, get it to where it's certified.
Gotcha.
And I think in our format, it's a little bit muted if we did hold a fish up, because they already know what it is. They've already seen the fish get caught. They already know what the weight of the fish is. So, while you're fishing, it's more exciting when they don't know what you got, and you hold up a 7 pounder. They're thinking, well, Matt might have 40 pounds today or whatever,
Yeah.
Whereas here, they already know Brian caught a 5.6, and that's the fish he's holding.
Yeah,
up.
that's true, because I was thinking in my mind, well, not everybody has a camera, but everybody knows everybody's weight. Mm-hmm. So, and they know everybody's big because it's listed out beside it, right? Yeah.
Right. So
that's a good point,
too.
too.
It probably wouldn't be as exciting as the format you guys are fishing, in my opinion. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's true, and I didn't think of it that way. So, a lot of angles to look at from that aspect. But, all right, I know we got a bunch of questions, y'all, but it's after 8 o'clock, and I know Luke has got to get up. So we didn't even tell everybody this, but their practice for Douglas and Cherokee starts tomorrow morning. In the morning.
30 minutes before sunrise.
Brian was awesome. Luke was awesome. Just to come over here and do a show tonight. Luke's going to get up at what time?
Probably 3:30.
3:30 and drive straight to Douglas to start practice for the BPT. So big shout out to Luke for coming. But Brian said he was going to spot all his competitors a day on the lake to try to get a head start so he could get some
Not
rest.
getting a head start. I'm just really tired. I'm really tired.
It's my story. Let me tell it. Okay. No,
Proceed, sir.
he did. I forgot. Like, it's just like the classic winner. He won Redcrest, so now he is pre-qualified for next year's Redcrest. So that helps a little bit to take
That
a day
helps
off.
a little bit, but I still don't want to do bad at Douglas.
Well, sure.
I don't want to.
I think that makes Bryan Thrift really scary this year.
You
You know, that's what it
100%.
does. Because all of a sudden now he idles 90% of his practice. He's going to be idling 100% of it now. Trying to find a big wad of them out in the middle somewhere.
That's right. That's right. A percentage of idle time in practice, Brian. Give it to us.
I'd say it's
2-day practice.
2-day practice. It's probably 55%.
55. Okay.
55%.
Luke.
I talked to Brian during practice, and there's a lot of times at 12:30, 1 o'clock, he hasn't made a cast yet.
It happens occasionally.
What time do you get on the water?
Well, then he'll make a few
Did he
casts.
Scott Martin it and get
Yeah.
on there at like 9:45 because he's fixing
No,
his hair?
no.
Or
it's-
did he?
It's shortly after legal time.
Okay.
Right.
So
Okay.
our rules are we can be on the water 30 minutes before sunrise, but a lot of times it's still too dark to run without your lights in. And I wait till it's safe to run without putting my lights in because I don't want to have to move all my tackle and get to my light.
You have room for a light?
I have my lights in the boat, but I don't want to have to move everything out
The,
and dig the light out, so I just wait till
Are you-
it's light enough to run without my lights.
Is VPT like us and we have a time you have to be on and off
Yes.
each day?
A half hour before and after sunrise
Jacob
and
Wheeler rule?
sunset.
I call it Jacob Wheeler rule. We were at Eufaula one year. I'll tell this real quick, and then we'll go to our trivia questions because it's 7 after 8. We were at Eufaula one year, and we were fishing it was an FLW tour event. You might have won this event, actually. And Jacob and I got off the water. It was dark. We went to a Mexican place to eat. We're sitting there eating, and I could see, like, the wheels turning in his head. We were rooming together at the time. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? He's like, dude, I got to go. And, like, we ain't even got our food, man. And he gets up. And he walks out the door and gets and launches his boat and goes back out there and grabs a big old giant flat, the one y'all know I'm talking about that used to not have any contours on it, down the lake on certain maps.
Yeah.
And he just graphed that flat like all night, like till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's back when you could legally practice
yeah, you
24
can
hours a
legally
day.
do that, yeah.
And anyway, the tournament, Bill found out about it and all them, and then they started thinking about, oh my God, what if something happened, at 1 o'clock in the morning and this, that, and the other. So that's why I call that the Jacob Wheeler rule, because people were practicing all crazy hours of the night. But he was a workaholic, and obviously it paid off for him. Look where he is now. All right. Kevin Dillinger said he's with you on the light deal, Brian. You don't want to have to get to it.
Yeah,
You don't have to
exactly.
put it is
Like-
always like that, kind of like, just, it's a pain in the butt to put your lights in.
Like
it is.
and like my box, like I carry a lot of tackle. I've probably enough for everybody in the field to be able to pick something and fish with it, and I still got plenty to use.
Something. A
Yeah,
lot more than something.
Yeah, something.
but
Set a lid that shuts on the boat.
yeah, I don't want to move stuff out of the way and have to dig my light out.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I stopped talking.
But putting the lights at, like at Bainbridge, like at Seminole, we blasted off like an hour after daylight, and like, gotta have your lights in, guys. Gotta have your lights in. I'm like,
You guys have to have them in every tournament, regardless when takeoff
blast
is?
off. Yeah. Regardless when takeoff is.
Oh. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
But we take off. We take off at. We take off
Thanks
at
for rubbing it in,
7:30 or
Luke.
8 or something. It's like
Yeah,
people
what
go
time
to
y'all blast
breakfast
off?
before
That's
takeoff.
right.
Yeah.
Y'all meet at Waffle House at 7:30 and then go to the
Right,
ramp for
yeah.
blast off. That is a little different. That is kind of nice. Maybe I've talked to Bass about that. We need to start blasting off about 8:45 ish, give or
We had a
take.
tournament at Table Rock. We took off at, was it noon to 8? Or you weren't fishing yet then. I think it was noon to 8. We
Yeah,
fished.
I remember that.
What was
Y'all
the
were at
reasoning for
Table
that?
Rock.
It was late. It was light that late, and maybe it was 11 to 7. I
The
don't
fishing was
remember.
better.
Yeah, it was a lot better in the afternoon. Yeah, and
Modify your tournament hours.
it's
based on how
really
good the
weird because
fishing
you
is.
spent your whole life getting up early in the morning to go take off. And then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, do you guys want to go to breakfast or do something?"
Did y'all consult Marty for that, for those bite windows?
I don't think anybody consults Marty.
okay.
Yeah.
You did not. You did not. All right. All right. I know y'all, everybody stayed on here, 460 viewers for the trivia question. I got a couple good questions. One is about Luke, our guest, Luke Clawson, and the other one is about my co-host and recently crowned Red Crest champion, Mr. Bryan Smoke Thrift. The first giveaway that we're going to do, all right, Luke, the way this works is you got the feed pulled up. Can you see the feed?
Oh yeah, I'm watching it. They're
Okay.
already guessing, and
Yeah.
we haven't even started.
We don't
yet.
even have.
Yeah.
Usually we see Bill Dance, Jimmy Houston, Hank Parker, Roland Martin. Those are
They're
usually the
serious
guesses.
tonight. Like they're throwing out legit answers because we got some good giveaways.
They usually start guessing before we ever ask.
Yeah, maybe we should change the questions.
Why have they already answered one? No, they
Oh, they've answered a lot of them, not correctly, but yeah.
Good. Okay, first of all, let me just go ahead and say this. If you answer our trivia question before the trivia question's asked,
It doesn't count.
and it was right for some crazy reason, it absolutely does not count. 100% does not count.
That's a good rule.
Okay.
That is a good rule.
Here we go. Question number 1 is for the $50 Blackfish gift certificate and a $50 Demiki credit for
Well, the Demiki it will be a prize pack of the underspin that I used to catch fish off my limit place at Red Crest and the 3-inch armor shad. So you'll get several packs of both with a total value of $50.
Okay, so it's a $100 value because you got a Blackfish $50 gift
Right.
card also. All right, and the second question. So we're gonna have 2 winners tonight. We don't never ever do this, but because we got 2 great giveaways, the second question will be for the ACM Tackle $100 gift card, the weigh bag, and the Angler's Choice hat. And if you win, message us on Facebook. Let's Talk Fish Facebook page, your shipping information, and then I will shoot you back the Blackfish code.
Yes.
And we'll send your shipping information over to Demiki, and the second winner will send it out to Angler's Choice, and they'll get those packages out ASAP. First question. Luke Clawson, our guest tonight, our special guest, won the Bassmaster Classic in 2006? 2006. I need to know what his 3-day total was in pounds and ounces. His 3-day total in 2006 when he won the Bassmaster Classic.
So the winner is the first person.
First person that
First
pops
person
up on
you
the
see.
feed. Yep. And as soon as it pops up,
My feed quit scrolling.
My feed, yeah, either they're
Oh,
stumped
there they're
or
coming.
oh, I got it.
8338.
Oh my God! I think
Whoa.
I got it. I think I got it.
You
I
already
can't-
got the answer?
I can't
I
keep
can't get
up
back
with
to
that.
it.
They're going really fast.
One on? No.
Mine are like smoking.
I don't
through
know. I
there.
can't get back to it.
I could have an epileptic seizure.
I don't
while
even
you
know the
sure?
answer.
Yes, because that's the first, literally the first answer.
Pat Snyder.
the one I got,
Snyder.
too.
We're
That's
crowning him. Pat Snyder is the winner.
That was an easy question.
All right. Good. No, all right. We got the winner. Pat.
That was the first.
They're coming
It
through
was the
so
very
fast.
first comment.
On mine, I'm like Luke. I could not get back to the answer. Jeff froze his. He's smart. He's tech savvy. He's a
Yeah.
lot smarter than I am.
So there was
That
one
was a
person that
pretty-
answered it before you asked the question.
And
Yeah,
got it right.
That absolutely
Got it
does
right.
not count. Yeah, he did.
And-
The reason I addressed that, you knew why. But that's the first time in LTF history that that's actually happened. Somebody
got
answered
the
it
correct
correctly
answer.
before
Yeah.
the
We
question
should
was
have
asked.
combined his. That was pretty easy.
Well, we got 2. Just hold on a minute. We got 2.
It's going to be a harder one.
Probably not.
How was Thrift's practice at Norman?
All right. Second question for the ACM Tackle $100 gift card giveaway and the ACM Heavy Duty Weigh Bag and the Angler's Choice hat. Here we go. What was and who caught the biggest bag of Red Crest at Lake Norman? What was it in pounds and ounces? Has to be right, and who caught it? In the same answer. Don't give me 3 different answers because I can't follow the scrolling, follow the feed. Can't scroll fast enough to follow the feed.
I got it.
Single day back.
You already got it.
I got it.
Trevor Topkin.
Yep. The first one again.
First answer. Twice in a row.
So Matt came up with the trivia questions. He made them easy.
Well,
That's all right, though.
Let's see. We've had 137 shows, and I've come up with 135 trivia questions. So
No,
anytime you want to start,
I've
you let
came
me
up
know.
with like 6, but that was at your request.
That's true. That's true. About
came
6,
up with
Luke.
2.
Yep. Pat Snyder and Trevor Topkin. Is that right?
Topkin, I think it was.
Topkin.
T-O-P.
Yeah. Topken. All right, Trevor,
Trevor
and Pat,
Topkin.
y'all message the Let's Talk Fish Facebook page and let us know your shipping information, and Pat will get you over the Blackfish code. And then, what is it?
Brian Branch, he said my fingers are too fat. He couldn't type fast
Couldn't
enough.
get it quick enough. I didn't even see that answer from Trevor, but was it 1712 Brian Thrift?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
All right. I'm just assuming. We still got questions coming in from the first answer. Some people have a pretty big delay on their internet.
That's true.
Could
It's
be
all
Upper
right.
Cleveland County people.
It could very well.
Sausage fingers, yeah.
Just north of Shelby a little bit. All right. That wraps it up, I think. I know we missed some stuff.
Now Matt's got to go win a classic. Next show is a classic trophy right here, Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
put it.
going to happen.
I'll give you another bag of Zots.
Will you? You didn't give me that one. Chris, a fan, Chris sent us that. You'll double that?
5 pounds.
Man, I don't even want the money. I just want the Zots. I love it. Luke, have you had a Zot yet?
No,
You need to.
too many carbs.
Justin, I will be at the Classic Expo at least one day.
Yeah,
At
so
least
when does
one,
y'all...
maybe.
while
You're
on
only
that
going
sub-
one day?
I might go 2 days. I want to go home
You don't like your
sometime.
sponsors or what?
I do. I love them. And I'm going to at least come one day, possibly 2 days.
Look, I'm like...
I'll be there all 3 days.
We talked about it, and I know y'all agree with me on this. Look, I mean, I was one of maybe 3 Bassmaster guys at Red Crest,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I looked around, I watched.
No, I
you know.
want to go.
And here's the thing, like, it's not about all this crap that was taking place when Split happened, all this stuff. It's about those companies at Z-Man, Toyota, Fitzgerald Rods, Humminbird. It's about the companies that take care of us, take care of this industry, and in turn, we're supposed to take care of them. And that's just
Yes.
the way it works.
And that's why I'm going at least one day. I'll probably be there for 2 days for sure.
Well, and you don't have to make excuses, dude. You haven't had a
No,
day
I'm-
of rest.
I'm not making
You
excuses.
haven't had a day of rest though in forever. I'm making excuses for
So
you.
what's our turnaround from the Classic to Lake Murray?
There's 4 days off.
Okay, so that's not bad.
No, we have our tournament ends. The championship day is the day before the first day of the Classic
Right,
Expo.
yeah, so that works perfectly. We're already in the area. So
we're already right there.
I'll most likely be there for the 2 days for sure.
Where can they find y'all? I know people are going to be asking. Where can they find y'all at the Classic Expo?
I'll definitely be working Humminbird, Minn Kota, and Fitzgerald booths for sure. And whoever else is there, Ranger, P-Line, Costa.
So all your
whoever.
sponsors, all right?
Yeah, I'll bounce around everywhere.
I'll probably be at the bar. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if I don't make day 3, I'll meet you there, Luke.
I'm going to be at all my sponsors.
Yeah, that'd be a
too.
good booth. Like somebody should buy a booth and
Just have a bar.
just have a bar open. A bar
I don't know
there.
why they don't do it like
I don't either.
ICAST. ICAST is, I mean,
Everybody gets kegs.
not everybody's been to ICAST, but all of us have, of course. And yeah, they're like happy hours at every booth rotating throughout the show.
3 o'clock rolls around at ICAST, and it's no longer a fishing
Nobody
show.
gets anything done after
That's
that.
right.
No, yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, I'll be at all my sponsors at Z-Man, Powerpole, Mercury, Lawrence. Geez, I'm trying to think who all's going to have booths there, but we'll be at all the booths and traveling around throughout the show, just meeting a lot of the fans. It's, you know, regardless what you're a fan of, if it's Major League Fishing or Bassmaster, it's still the biggest tournament. Expo, they're going out there, and there's more fishing fans in one place there than anywhere else.
Yeah.
And a lot of great deals on our sponsors stuff,
And
too.
I'm a fan of the sport. Like, there's no reason to pick a side. It's not Bassmasters versus MLF. It's twice as much content for us as bass fishermen to soak up and enjoy. Like, I watch every minute of live footage from Bassmaster.
Yeah.
At
I'm
the
the
Classic
same.
during the regular season event, just like I do MLF, because I love bass fishing and I want to learn and I want to catch more bass.
We need to get the 2 most influential people from each side, which is probably Chase Anderson on our side, and who would be y'all's majority? Who'd be your the big wig at?
Probably Boyd.
Marty.
Said that with a straight face too. So probably Boyd. I get this comment all the time, and we had it 2 or 3 times, and I
Right.
don't know if y'all saw it, about having a dual tour championship. You know, having like the old TTBC days.
That
And
would be
It would be that,
astounding.
like, whether it's top 20 from each tour, top 40, 50 guys, whatever you want to make it, and have and look, I told Brian, I said, look, there ain't no reason why Bryan Thrift and Luke Clawson and Matt Arey, Jacob Wheeler, and whoever can not get together and draw enough non-endemic money to make one ourselves if we had to.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if we had like 50 guys in total weight for each side. So it
Oh,
was
you
like,
mean actually make it a side to side versus
yeah,
side?
I think
Now,
that'd be
that
really
would
cool.
be kinda
Your weights
cool.
would be astronomical, but
Yeah.
it'd be really cool to
Yeah.
see that
You
go
combine
down.
all 25 guys over here and all 25.
That would be fun.
interesting.
All
Like,
the
even if
crap
it was like a
talk,
charity
yeah.
type event, like that would be something fun.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, like charity would be a great deal. Even if the leagues didn't want to do it, it'd be pretty
Right.
easy for somebody to set up.
And the tiebreaker
You,
would be
you
like
know
a,
the man who could set all this up.
huh? Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
The tiebreaker would be we get in like We put our best guy,
Jeff, too bad
y'all's
Jeff's
best guy in
out
like
of the
a
tournament
boxing ring
industry.
or something.
Wrestling match.
wrestling
Yeah.
I vote Caleb Sumrall.
I want to see it back in the Thule's.
I'm
A
gonna throw that-
wrestling match in the mud.
I'm gonna vote. If Caleb's there, Caleb Sumrall is going to be our shoe in.
Man day, head-to-head day, and then the last day is teams.
Yeah.
Only take like top 10.
Jeff, it's too bad you're out of the tournament industry now.
I can borrow a trailer, right?
All right, it is almost 8:30. We probably set a record on how. Well, this usually we only go an hour. Luke,
Yeah.
But we almost on a. Are you hungry? There's a whole bag
Jeff's
of Zot sitting
hungry.
here, and a
Luke's
liquor
gotta go to
cabinet in
sleep.
there. There's like a mini bar in there. You could drink your supper. A lot of people do it. You may call Robertson, get him down here. He'll have dinner with you in there. Oh, did y'all see his post?
I've seen a lot of his posts, but I,
I
don't
mean,
know
the
which
one,
one you're
the
referencing.
one asking for all the ladies to shoot him a message for a date at the Night of Champions.
No,
So
I
you have to
not.
go. You have to look at
He
this.
asked for a date on social media.
Yeah,
That's
so,
awesome.
So look at this post when y'all get a chance tonight, because there's like 100 comments on his post, and there ain't a single female on there.
Oh, God.
Who
But
was
there's
this?
a
I
lot-
was reading this. Who was it?
Matt Robertson.
Oh, yeah.
on him. So there's a lot of comments on there like, man, you know, my name's Billy and I fish in the, Lake County Bassmaster Club, and I'll even wear a dress and a wig if you want me to, but I just want to go to the Night of Champions. I mean, there's a lot of that on there,
Yeah.
like a lot of that, but it's pretty good content. Now, he told the ladies to private message him, so he might have
He might have
some
some.
private messages, but he didn't have a public message anywhere from any female whatsoever. Anyway, all right. Sorry,
There you
Matt.
go.
Hope you found a date, Matt.
You're not going to be it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be it. I'll stop there. No, we can't put Robertson in the wrestling match if it comes down to that, Scott, because Robertson's already been defeated by, believe it or not, I think Corey Johnson defeated. Corey was like born to fight. So him and
He
Chris
loves
used to
it,
be, yeah, he loves fighting. Luke's exactly right. He loves
He
to
just
fight.
loves it.
Corey and Chris Johnston used to be on the same hockey team, and I think Chris was always the one that he was a really, really good player that always just pissed the other team off and get them really hot and mad, and then Corey would step in and fight for his brother.
He would put him against the glass.
Correct. Yeah. So it was it was a 1-2 punch with the Johnston brothers.
That's pretty cool.
But anyway, but yeah, I said Sumrall because if you ain't seen Sumrall,
Oh,
in the past,
he's
I don't know who we'd throw out there. Biffle?
Dude.
He pulled a
No,
switchblade on him.
weapons,
Yeah.
no weapons, no weapons. I'll cut you.
I
no
bet
weapons.
Shin knows kung fu though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nunchucks come flying out.
Yeah.
All right, we got to stop. Y'all, we appreciate it. Don't forget, Trevor and Pat, send us your information on our Facebook page for your prizes that y'all won tonight, and we'll get your info over to you. What are you laughing at, Jeff? Jeff's like starving back here. He's like, y'all know it's 8:23. We got to get out of here. I got to eat. And
Did
you're
you
good
see the
now.
comment from Casey Lynch?
Nope.
I don't know if you want to read it, but it's kind of funny.
Oh
Maybe
no,
not.
that's true.
I don't see it.
Oh no, not that one. I thought the one from Ryan Sauer. Like Matt's trailer is up for Airbnb if anyone's interested.
Oh, I think it's gone.
Tell Biffle.
Oh no,
the
it
other
was
guy's gonna
Brian
beat him to the
Branch right
spot.
above Casey Lynch. That's what I was looking at there.
I can't even
They
find
ain't
it.
no telling what Branch said.
Well, what do you say, Luke? If it's not a curse word, you.
Yeah, Biffle's boys will be hanging out of them shorts.
Branch is not
Short short-
wrong.
Hey, Patrick Walters is right there with him.
Oh, I know.
He's got the short shorts going too.
So Branch is one of my good buddies. And he's pretty funny.
yeah, no, Brian's good.
I like
dude.
him already.
I saw him at the weigh-in on day 3. He was there watching. All right, we got to get out of here. Brian, appreciate you being here. Luke, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good luck to y'all next week.
Thank you.
Be
Good
careful.
luck to you next.
I appreciate it.
The end of next week, beginning of the next
Yeah,
week.
it's like a week from Friday,
Yeah.
I think.
Either way,
be
good
careful
luck.
driving up in the morning too. So, Brian, you want to sign us off?
Yeah, I can sign us off. Why don't we let Luke? I wonder if Luke's. Have you ever watched their show?
No, I never watched it before.
All right, we're not going to let Luke. Maybe you should ask Luke and see if he can sign us off correctly.
I'm not going to put him on the spot
All
like
right,
that.
we
Try.
won't.
I'm not going to promise what I'm going to say.
Well, we got to go with it.
Go ahead, Smoke.
So it was great to be back. Thank you for all the comments and the kind gestures, and it's been a phenomenal week. I can't wait to come back and do the show after Matt's hoisting the classic trophy. It's happening. I got
No
a feeling.
pressure.
It's happening. No pressure, but it's happening. So, Luke, If we can't go fishing, what are we going to do?
If we can't go fishing, well, let's talk fish.
Oh, he got it!
Yeah.
Yeah, first one ever.
First one ever. Nailed it.
Yeah. I was
Thank you,
ready to
guys.
comment.